Good morning, podcasters. Today is Wednesday, June 17th, 2026, and today, Spotify's new analytics overhaul, video podcasting's continued rise, and surprising new ad trends lead your news and comment episode as we dig into what matters most for podcasters. So if you're listening live on Clubhouse, hit the share button, top right-hand side of the screen, and share it however Clubhouse lets you. And if you're catching us via podcast, YouTube, etc., please share this episode with a fellow podcaster. And now give us about 30 seconds, and we'll get things rolling. Thanks for being here. The Podcasting Morning Chat is powered by Ironic Media, helping podcasters launch, polish, and grow great shows. And by Content Creators Accountant, helping creators build real business behind their content. Good morning again, Podcasting Morning Show. Thank you so much for being here. I am your host, Marc. Currently on stage with me, my co-hosts, we have Ralphie Stepp, DR Fay, Sid Meadows, Alex Baelish, and BC Babbles. I think I got everybody. I'm still remotely broadcasting, streaming, whatever you want to call it, from my parents' house in Maryland, and I'm not used to having the smaller laptop screen, so I'm looking in multiple places, multiple windows. So I hope I didn't forget anybody. And a shout out to Tide and Janaid, who have also joined us already here on stage. And also hello to Tim and Jessica in the Clubhouse audience already here joining us bright and early this morning. So today, yes, go ahead, DR.
Are you in your childhood home? Are there like posters of Farrah Fawcett all over the walls? And
yeah, if you go to Farrah Fawcett, wow. If you check us out on the live stream at podcastingmorningshow.com/join us, or if you're watching later, I am not. This is clearly my parents' guest room. I feel like you can kind of tell it's a guest room, and you can see all my stuff behind me, all my travel geir and everything.
Blow the dust off of those posters, honey, and put them up while you're there. Come on.
They moved out of the childhood home probably about 10 years ago now. So
okay.
I have lots of pictures from that, including my closet door riddled with stickers, and mostly Garbage Pail Kid stickers, if anybody remembers those.
Star Wars stuff?
Lots of Star Wars stuff, yes. Yeah, back in the day, had the Michael Jackson posters, and maybe not Farrah Fawcett, but definitely some people around that era, for sure. I think Christina Applegate was one of my favorite posters.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yes. Anyway, we will get into the news, and it feels a little self-indulgent, but I did say I was going to talk a little bit today on yesterday's show about my experience at Camp Footprint over the past week plus, which was why I was absent from the show. And again, very big thank you to Ralph for leading the charge, and to all of you for showing up here each day, supporting Ralph, and ultimately supporting me and this community. So thank you all for keeping this thing going. But so I was at Camp Footprint, and I was trying to decide what's the best way for me to share. And I think the best way I'm going to do this, I don't read from a lot of scripts or things often, but yes, I do that from time to time here on the show. And since I posted about it yesterday, I figure not everybody listening has seen or follows me on social. So I'll just share what I wrote yesterday. And all right, let me see, where should I start? All right, I'm going to skip the first line because it's not relevant here. So Camp Footprint is a camp for kids living with Charcot-Marie-Tooth disease, which is also known as CMT. It's a disease that can affect their mobility, strength, balance, their confidence, and so many parts of everyday life that most people never have to think about. And specifically, if you're curious, the way it manifests is it has to do with your brain and your nerves, your nervous system, right? Because your brain is sending signals. Your nerves are like wires, if you think about a computer, right? It's sending all sorts of signals from your brain to all sorts of areas of your body, and one of those areas being connected to your muscles and your extremities, etc. And their nerve endings kind of deteriorate over time.
Is it a cousin to MS?
No, it's kind of a cousin. It used to be a cousin to muscular dystrophy.
Okay.
But now it's clearly two different types of diseases because this is specifically a neurological disease. And those nerve endings basically, and I'm simplifying, but they basically wear out, and the people affected loses feeling and mobility in their extremities, particularly wrists and fingers and hands and ankles, feet, and toes.
And I want to remind the listeners that this is also the same. Is it called a disease? Is it a disease or a syndrome? Okay, this is also the same disease that Alan Jackson has.
Yes, correct. So some of these kids come into camp carrying a lot, clearly. And what I saw, insecurities, frustrations, discouragement, and that feeling of why me? And honestly, who can blame them? But then when they come to Camp Footprint, something really special happens. They find themselves surrounded by other kids and adults. Many of the adults there also have CMT. So all of them really get it. There's a staff who creates space where they don't have to explain themselves, shrink themselves, or apologize for who they are. They get to be kids. They laugh, they dance, they sing, they make friends, they play, they take chances. You know, this is a camp that's built for abled kids, right? So there are things like zip lines and rock wall climbing, etc. And so many of these kids attempt these things for the first time in their lives. A lot of their, I'm going off script here. A lot of the parents also tend to make these assumptions that their kids can't do X, Y, and Z because of this disease. And in a lot of cases, they're probably right, but they don't give a lot of these kids the opportunity to try because they just assume, oh, the disease isn't going to allow you to do that. So when these kids come to camp, they get this opportunity to try, and they're encouraged to try these things. Among other responsibilities, I also got to play the role as the camp's candy man. Actually, I'll get into that in a second. But these kids, they realize that they're not alone when they come to this camp. And maybe most importantly, they start to see what everyone around them already sees, that they are some of the most resilient, capable, powerful young people on the planet. They definitely helped me recognize that a lot of the challenges that I have, if they can get through their challenges, there's no reason why I can't get through mine. And like I said, I got to play this, among a lot of other responsibilities, this role of Candyman at least once a day. I'd drive around the camp in a golf cart, and the back of the cart had a big utility section. So I would just load up these bins of candy, different types of candy, and drive around, stopping, much like the ice cream man, stopping at the different activities. And I would always just pull up. And it was so funny. I would pull up to the kids at their activity, and I'd see they're all looking at me. You know, I'm wearing my Willy Wonka costume. They're all looking at me, and most of them, especially by day 2, 3, and 4, they know what I'm doing. But they don't ever do anything. They just kind of stare at me, and then I just get out and I just yell, "Who wants some candy?" And they all come flooding over and cheering, and it's just such a warm, wonderful feeling going through that experience. But the real gift was watching these campers be reminded of what's still possible for them, watching them going through their experiences at Camp Footprint. So a huge shout out, huge love to the campers, the counselors, the staff, and to my best friend Jonah, who many of you have met here on the show. He's joined us before. He joined us for Podcast-thon, and I'll link to that episode in the show notes. Jonah pours his heart and soul into making this place what it is. And it's so special for me to get to watch it. I'm already feeling a little choked up here. And because every time I watched him do his thing, I got choked up because we grew up together. We grew up in a camp together, an able-bodied camp, and his father ran that camp. And watching him lead so much like his dad did, And on top of that, leading a camp filled with kids who have the same disease as he does. Wow. Again, choked up here and having a hard time spitting out the words, but it was a truly special, really special, magical place and a magical experience that I am so grateful for. And I will share, I'm going back. They do it twice a summer. And last year I did it in August on the East Coast. This year I did it in June, obviously here, and I did it on the West Coast. That was outside of Portland, Oregon, first time there. What an amazing, beautiful place that is. But in August, I'm going back. It's outside of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, going for the week actually of my birthday, the week of August 7th, August 8th, something like that. It leads into a weekend and then that following week. So more to come on that, but thank you for allowing me to share. Happy to answer any questions. If anybody has any questions, let me open up here my Clubhouse to make sure. Did anyone have any questions? Okay. Well, yeah. So that was my experience. If you're interested in supporting Camp Footprint and these amazing kids, just go to cmtausa.org or just Google CMTA. You'll find it. You'll find all different ways you can support that organization. And some of those donations do, in fact, go toward Camp Footprint. The camp had about, just in case you want some context, had about 80 plus kids, 40 plus counselors. Every 2 to 3 kids has a specific counselor assigned to them to really support them and their needs, et cetera, mentally and physically.
Marc, I just want to throw something in there, dude. It sounds like that camp, the impact on the kids, it was more of an impact on you. So great work, dude. I really commend you for doing that. That's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, it had a huge impact on me both last year and this year. And yeah, although I will say, I think it impacts them a heck of a lot more. And it feels selfish. You know, a lot of people commend me, thank me for doing this work and putting some good into the world. And I'm not discounting that. I recognize that this is putting good into the world and it's making a difference to a lot of kids. But selfishly, I get so much out of this, both the rewarding part of helping these kids, but it also brings me back to being a kid. Like I said, I went to camp. I went to camp, sleepaway camp, a little later in my life as a kid than most kids do. I think I was 13, 14 years old, but still getting to go there, be a counselor, be a kid again. Selfishly, I get a ton out of it. And sometimes I feel guilty when people are saying, hey, great job. Thanks for doing what you do, because I'm secretly getting so much out of the experience being able to be a kid again. Okay, so with that, man, I don't even know. Let me see if I have the right button here. Yes. Nice. So let's dive in. I'm waiting for the music to finish up because it's really loud. That's the old music too, I think. So I may have you, Ralph, on the cue here to play the right music moving forward.
I can do that, my friend. I'm ready to go when you are.
All right, right on. So thank you for allowing me to share a little bit about Camp Footprint. Now, as we do here on the show, we get into some statistics to kick things off. This is some podcast data for you as of today, June 17th. And I like to share about the active podcasts. And to explain that, Podcast Business Journal does a good job explaining it. They say a helpful number to understand is the amount of podcasts that are being created. It's that total number of quote unquote active podcasts. These are podcasts that are still being updated and therefore actively marketing themselves. So if you're making podcast episodes, you might consider the numbers I'm going to share with you to be your competition rather than that big overall number that we often hear of 4.6 million podcasts that exist out there today. So the total podcast episodes posted recently, by the way, I've been reporting on updated podcasts lately when I do this. I'm specifically now talking about podcast episodes that have been published recently. Okay. So over the last week, 539,249 episodes were published. And that's down 4.6% from the previous week. And then if we want to zoom out a little bit, over the last 30 days, 2.2 million plus episodes were published, which is down almost 6% from the previous month. And it looks like summer is upon us based on how those numbers have dropped pretty considerably. As I said, almost 6% over the past month. Speaking of which, the Podcasting Morning Show will contribute to those summer statistics. Pay attention, because as of next week, I've decided that we're going to move to our new summer schedule. We did this last year, and it worked fine for us. I'm adjusting it, though, because last year we did it, I think it was Tuesday through Friday. This year, we're going to do it every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, all summer long. And again, that's of next week. Technically, somewhat it kind of happens this week because we were off this past Monday for a travel day for yours truly. And this Friday, we're taking off to recognize national holiday Juneteenth. So it's kind of happening naturally this way, but as of next week, officially, it's a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday schedule. And I'll remind you of that tomorrow as well. Also, I wanted to share one more stat before DR gets into the top fives that we always do. Pod News was reporting today on Triton Digital's 4th annual Canadian podcast report. And the big headline is that podcasts in Canada are reaching more people than ever. And I know we have a pretty strong Canada base here, so I thought this was important to share. Monthly podcast listening jumped to 46% of Canadians, which Triton says is the biggest single-year increase they've seen. Among English-speaking Canadians, that number climbs to 49%. Also, in other statistics here along these lines, YouTube is now the most used podcast platform in that country, while Apple Podcast remains the top RSS-based app, pulling in 49% of all new episodes. The iHeartRadio app in Canada accounts for about 3%, putting it in perspective for you. And here's where it gets interesting for creators. The report breaks down audience demographics by platform, with Apple Podcast users reportedly twice as likely to earn over $100,000 a year compared to YouTube users. Canadians are also listening to more shows overall, averaging 4.1 podcasts in 2025 compared to 3.5 in 2023. So yes, podcasting in Canada is growing. It's getting more platform specific, more competitive, and a lot more interesting for creators trying to figure out where their audience actually lives. All right, DR, let's get into your top fives for this week.
Number 5 is Ill-Advised by Bill Nye. This is not Bill Nye, the science guy. I already researched it. It's not him.
Interesting that somebody would have that name too.
I know.
Interesting.
I know.
Okay.
It's spelled differently. Okay, number 4 is Astroloti with Eliza Kelly and horoscopes and astrology. Don't ask me to repeat that. Words are hard in the morning. I got to tell you.
Wait,
that.
hold on.
It's
Hit
just
it,
a
Ralph.
bad thing. I hate words in the morning.
Words are hard in the morning. Did I say that out loud?
Okay, number 3 is Betwixt the Sheets, a history of sex, scandal, and society. I got to write that down for later. Number 2 is Call Me Back. Number 2.
Keep going.
Number 2 is Call Me Back with Don Censor. And number 1 is On Being with Krista Tippett.
Thank you, DR. And what's your other top 5 list today?
The other top 5 list is science, because, I mentioned Bill Nye, the science guy.
And where is this science list coming from?
Spotify.
Okay.
So number 5 is Astrum Space. Number 4 is Radiolab. We all know that one. Number 3 is Ologies with Ali Ward. Number 2 is Hidden Brain. And the number 1 podcast is Science Versus.
Thank you, DR. There are your top 5s. And I believe, wait, let me look. Oh, I got to do, Ralph, will you hit the news music just for a little refresher? Let's dive into some events, and then we'll get into the Content Creators Business Bite. So first, as many of you know, Empowered Podcasting 3 is coming back in 2026. And don't tune out because you hear me say this every Wednesday, because I got something to share with you specifically about this. And if you're an indie podcaster, creator, coach, or an entrepreneur who wants more than another full room of surface level panels and awkward networking, this is the one to watch. EPC is built around real community, and in fact, built around this very real community here at the Podcasting Morning Show. It's also built on practical growth and honest conversations about how creators can build shows, brands, and businesses that actually move the needle. The weekend's designed to help podcasters connect with the right people, sharpen their strategy, and walk away with the ideas they can actually use, not just a tote bag full of stickers and good intention. And what I wanted to share with you is I want you to stay tuned to the Podcasting Morning Show, because soon we're going to be sharing details on the new Empowered Podcasting Affiliate Program. And let's just say that this ain't your typical 5%, 10% commission offer. And if you're really curious to know more, because I can't quite say yet, I was hoping it'd be ready this morning, but it'll probably be ready this afternoon. If you're really curious about this, send an email to empoweredpodcastingconference@gmail.com. I know that's a long email. Yes.
Hey, Mark. I heard there's a rumor that one of the prizes for this is you get to take over some of DR's AppSumo fees for a month.
Wow.
So that's just what I heard.
The fees? Oh, yeah, the fees.
And it can't. It has to exceed at least $100,000. So you have to spend $100,000 when you win this prize. But we just wanted to throw that out there because I know the listeners, especially the indie listeners, are really looking forward to that.
Thank you, Alex Bailiff. Appreciate that.
A little comment
details
on my addiction. That's
yes,
okay.
but in case for some reason you don't know an affiliate program, this is the idea behind this is that if you help us sell tickets to the event, you're going to earn a commission for every ticket sale. So, and I know that we're going to be talking about this here in just a second, ways to monetize for a content creator. I know that as podcasters, we're always looking for ways to add revenue streams. And I think this could be a really big opportunity for a lot of podcasters. So again, if you're interested in more information on this, Empowered Podcasting Conference at gmail.com, or stay tuned to the Podcasting Morning Show. I should be able to give you a lot more details tomorrow. So stay tuned on that. And by the way, if you want to buy your Empowered Podcasting Conference tickets, just go to empoweredpodcasting.com. Some other events. PodSummit returns October 16th through the 17th at the Grand in Calgary. Figured I had to share some kind of Canadian event after speaking about how popular podcasting has become there. And this is for the next chapter of Canada's podcasting event. It's built on community and driven by the craft of audio and video storytelling. PodSummit brings together Canada's leading voices and emerging creators for 2 days of conversation, learning, and collaboration. For more info, go to podsummit.com. Also, we haven't really talked a lot about this yet, but one of the biggest events of the year is Podcast Movement 2026. Biggest because I'm referring to the size of the event. And they're bringing together creators, producers, networks, platforms, and podcast pros for 2 days, focusing on sharpening your show, growing your business, and connecting with broader podcasting industry. The event coordinators say it's designed for people taking their work seriously, whether they're audio first, video first, indie, or already building something bigger. So for more information on Podcast Movement, go to 2026.podcastmovement.com. And Ralph, hit the jingle.
Quick tip, smart move. Yeah! Content Creators Business Bite!
Today's Content Creators Business Bite is brought to you by, that guy, Ralph Estep Jr. of ContentCreatorsAccountant.com. Ralph is a licensed accountant with over 30 years of experience helping creators navigate taxes, bookkeeping, and the money side of their business with more clarity and a whole lot less stress. He's also my accountant, and I'm happy to recommend Ralph. You can learn more at contentcreatorsaccountant.com. With that, Ralph, what are we diving into today?
Well, good morning, everybody. Let me ask you something. You're already doing the hard work of building an audience. You're spending hours on your content, you're editing, you're showing up consistently. But if the sponsorship deals aren't flowing yet, and the ad revenue feels more like a trickle than a paycheck, what if you could use a side career to fund your podcast dream while it goes? Now, this is going to be a little bit different today, but I found this article from Forbes, and Forbes identified 5 flexible online side careers that are gaining momentum in 2026. And here's the best part for content creators. Most of them are skills you already have or skills you can build really quickly. And the data is striking. 39% of Americans already run a side business. 41% of those are considering turning it into full-time. They're doing what's called side stacking. And basically what that means is they're diversifying their income and it's becoming their new financial baseline. So let's take a look at exactly what's working and how creators can plug in, because when I talked to Marc yesterday about this idea, what I'm noticing as I'm working with content creators is it's hard at first. You're having a hard time finding those sponsors, finding that ad revenue. So this is a way to subsidize that while you're building that. The first one, number one side career is a virtual assistants. The VA market is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it's been growing 25% a year. The workforce is projected to hit 8.4 million, that's with an M, in 2028. Here's the best part. People are making anywhere from $13 to $16, $67 an hour, depending upon your skill level. Do the math, that's $32,000 to $36,000 a year. So here's my creator angle. You already know the tools: Notion, Google Workspace, scheduling apps, social media. You could do this 5-10 hours a week and scale around your content schedule. Income on your terms. Here's number 2, another great idea: print on demand. Now, you already do this. You create stuff, you design stuff, you upload it, and people here, a third party handles the manufacturing, the inventory, and shipping. This industry is projected to hit $57.5 billion with a B by 2033. Average monthly earnings, ready for this one? $4,965. Top performers are making over $10,000 a month. The profit margin here, 20 to 40%. Purely passive income after your initial upload. And think about this, as a content creator, your audience already trusts your brand. A t-shirt, a mug, a notebook tied to your show is a natural extension, and it runs while you sleep. That's the best part. Here's number 3, freelance translation. This one was one I hadn't thought about. Despite some great AI tools, businesses still rely on human linguistics for accuracy and cultural nuance. The highest demand right now, if you speak one of these languages, you are in the driver's seat. Japanese, Mandarin, or German. Unfortunately, I don't speak any of those. But general translation income between $24,000 and $43,000 a year. And if you are in the legal or medical field, you can make anywhere from $63 to $106 an hour. So if you're multilingual, this skill pays you twice. Freelance income now and global audience reach later. Let's look at number 4, selling digital products. Package your specialized knowledge into ebooks or templates, online courses, toolkit. I actually met with a book editor yesterday. I'm going to be launching my 4th book. I'm doing exactly this. This works in areas of fitness, personal finance. If you like to cook, maybe you're good with skincare, business, any niche. And you don't need a massive following to do this. Your sales can be driven through targeted search, email marketing, and tight-knit communities. Top creator quarterly earnings here, ready for this one? $54,000 a quarter. Full-time digital entrepreneurs are making between $53,000 and $90,000 a year. Here's the best part. You're already creating content. A digital product is just that content packaged in a way people will pay for it directly. Here's number 5. And I know I'm going a little long today, but these are really good ones. Number 5 is evergreen background video. Now, when I first read this, I'm like, what in the world is evergreen background video? Here's what it is. It's that long-form ambient content. You know, when you see a fireplace loop or rain sounds, lo-fi music, white noise. Platforms like YouTube and Spotify are loving this. Best part is you record it once, upload it once, and it earns for years. Listen to this. One fireplace video generated $1.2 million in income. The top lo-fi creators, over $30,000 a month. And the best part, we already understand audio quality. This is a low effort add to your production workflow. So here's my takeaway. Here's what I want you to hear from this. Your podcast or your content brand doesn't have to pay all your bills right now for it to be worth building. These 5 side careers, virtual assistants, print on demand, freelance translation, digital products, and ambient videos are all flexible. They work around your content schedule and they have the potential to do something powerful. They have the potential to buy you time. So take time to keep showing up, time to keep building your audience, and time to let the long game play out. You don't have to choose between your dream and your income. You just have to get smart about how you fund both. And I'm Ralph Estep, and that's my business bite for this week.
Thank you, Ralph. I appreciate that. And I have lots of thoughts here and questions for the room. But before I do, I think BC, did you have something? I saw in the chat you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I actually recently produced my own first couple of digital products which can be found through my Beacons page. It's for real estate agents who want some great modern luxury templates pre-made for their social media, pushing their inventory for any of their properties. So, and here's the thing, my thoughts on digital products. If you're on TikTok a lot, you'll see a lot of people pushing courses for digital product development and whatnot. And as good as those look, I want to just let people know you don't have to go through a course to develop those things. Like like Ralph said, if you're doing these things already, especially as content creators, you have those skills. Don't look for a course that costs like $500 just to get in, and who knows how much more to get the accelerated courses or the more exclusive classes to really hammer out the specifics. Like, try it out yourself. You likely have all you need in your skill set. So don't be fooled by all those courses on TikTok.
Yeah, and digital products feels like one of the most natural progressions for a podcaster based on the list that Ralph shared, right? Because we can promote it on our podcast, we can promote it on our Substacks, we can promote it in our newsletters, etc. So like that feels like, to me, the easiest way to jump into those little side hustles, for lack of a better term.
And Mark, I think the problem is a lot of people don't think about that. And as a content creator, that's the thing you need to do. You need to change your mindset and start thinking about what are some creative ways that I can start to bring some revenue dollars in so that you can support this career that you're trying to build. I think that's the key takeaway for me.
Yeah, so one question I have for everybody here is, would you rather make money directly from your podcast or use your podcast as a visibility engine for the other income streams, much like what I just suggested? I'm curious what everybody thinks about that. Anyone want to share?
I'll jump in there and say one thing, Mark, as we're getting more people to comment, is I think you can do both, but I think that, and this is where Mark and I might actually disagree. I'm a believer that most people's show is a marketing arm of a product or service they're selling. I think that is the way to be effective in this market. I think there is a place sometimes for a show that just appeals to an audience, but I think that's really the race for the bottom of CPM. And guess what? With this AMP change where they're saying a play is now 30 seconds, that bottom's going to get even deeper because the number of plays is going to skyrocket. I think we're going to talk about Spotify doing that later in the show today. I think that's going to be a race for the bottom. So I think it makes the most sense to build your brand and use your content as a way to generate people having interest in you. That's my take.
Thank you, Ralph. And I see that Yvonne's answer in the chat on Clubhouse is her answer to my question, would you rather make money directly from your podcast or use your podcast as that visibility engine for other income streams? Yvonne says both. So, and I invited her up on stage if she wants to elaborate on that, because I'd love to hear more on that. BC, you had something else?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Ralph there. One thing I've been talking about on my end of the creator spectrum is a lot about how today's market is so much restrictive, and it's forcing a lot of companies just outside of content creators to reevaluate their systems and really lean more on developing trust before pushing any kind of strategy to get bigger conversions. And so the same thing, I think, also with content creators. A lot of, especially if you are a business owner and you're using podcasting as a conversion tool, it's really going to be based on your ability to establish that trust with your audience first. If you can't do that, you're probably not going to see a whole lot of conversions at all. And you might see yourself at some point going bankrupt. Or what's the word? Yeah, bankrupt. But yeah, I think it's definitely going to be something all forms of business in the future, if not already, need to lean on to ensure any kind of positive future revenue.
Yep. Thank you, BC. And I see Tide in the chat says, me personally, I use my podcast for visibility to my programs, but eventually I know that sponsorship will come. Cindy Harrison says, I'm in the camp of podcasts are visibility engines for businesses, but there's value in both. And Yvonne has joined us on stage, and I know Yvonne also said both to that question. Yvonne, you want to elaborate? And good morning to you.
Yeah, I mean, I started off my podcast as a passion project. And as time has gone on, I've tried to think about how to monetize around the podcast. And, I have a membership community, so that's small and we at this point. And I'm also taking my time to figure out, well, how big do I want that to grow even? And I mean, the latest thing I'm offering is a play shop, which I feel great about. I'm very excited to see where that goes. And in the meantime, I've had some people approach me for, a brand deal here or there. And I'm really picky. Because it's that trust factor that BC was talking about. If I'm going to have somebody be a sponsor on my podcast, it has to be a product I really believe in and can get behind 100%. And if it doesn't fit that, then I'm going to promote my own stuff.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with it.
Awesome. Thank you for that explanation. I appreciate that. And I feel like there was somebody else who wanted to chime in. Oh, I wanted to ask Junaid. I saw Junaid in the chat says, I use my podcast for a totally different reason. And then he said his answer was, but both. But so Junaid, you want to share what's the different reason?
Absolutely. So I've been using my podcast. First of all, good morning, everyone. Really awesome conversation. I've been using my podcast for something that nobody's probably actively thinking about it. And that's to build relationship with the people, because there's no other place that you spend 1 hour uninterrupted time with somebody else learning their story. This is the start of a relationship. So I'm looking at it as a relationship builder, and it's been absolutely amazing.
I love that. And of course,
I agree. Sorry to interrupt, but I'm 100% with you, Junaid. That's been the number one benefit of doing my podcast is the relationships I've made with guests and collaborations that have come of it. Sorry.
And by the way, please don't apologize. By the way, Junaid also has a new digital product out for podcasters called Pod Glue. And if you want to learn more about Pod Glue, he created this amazing, I'm just going to call it an operating system for podcasters. And if you want to learn more about it, pay attention, because today at 1 p.m. Eastern, if you go to podcastingmorningshow.com/EPC live, Junaid is joining me, Jason Sircone, and Rich Perry, the executive team of the Empowered Podcasting Conference, joining us for our now weekly afternoon live stream on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. We're going to hear all about it. If you are feeling overwhelmed managing your podcast, Junaid has an amazing tool to help you with that, and at the same time, build those deep relationships that he's talking about for his podcast. This is a way to do it for yours too. So join us again.
Thank you, Marc.
You're welcome. podcastingmorningshow.com/EPC live.
And Marc, Sid had a comment also. Don't forget about Sid.
Thank you. All right, let's go to Sid before we jump into the rest of the news. Go ahead, Sid.
Well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I actually, Marc, wanted to read the next news story. If I could jump the line.
Sure. Sure.
Just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So, I'm in the camp of both, right, on that conversation. But I'm going to just say be cautious. There's a podcaster in my industry that I had met a year ago, been listening to her show, and I honestly stopped listening to her show. The reason I stopped listening to her show is because I felt like I was listening to a 30 to 45 minute promotion for her business. Like she couldn't stop talking about all the services she offers, and this event and that event. And I'm like, why am I listening to a 45-minute ad? So I just say that as you're thinking about promoting on your show or using your show as a promotion tool, just be cautious about not doing it too much and turning the episode into a full-fledged commercial, because that will drive people away. And then the other thing that I wanted to say was, if it weren't for the relationships that my podcast has created for me, I'm not sure how successful my business would actually be, because it's really brought in a lot of amazing people into my ecosystem, into my network. You can build really strong virtual, and sometimes not even knowing, you can build a really strong relationship with your listeners if you can focus on providing for them, providing answers to their questions and things of that nature. So thanks for letting me share more.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm glad that Ralph called that out. Then we did get to you. Thank you. I think those are both important points.
And Mark, I wanted to add something to what Sid just said. I think what Sid talks about is the disconnect. The disconnect is people don't want to get sold something. They want you to help them find a solution. So if you can provide solutions to your audience, figure out the pain points, that is not selling them a product. That is selling them a solution or providing a solution. But when you go into it with the idea of who is my audience, what are their pain points, and what expert skill or what service or product do I offer to solve that problem for them, you're not selling them something. You're giving them hope, and you're giving them a reason to want to come back and build that relationship.
Yep. Thank you, Ralph. I appreciate that. All right. So DR, I am going to skip. I'll let you know. I'll give you the story number for when you're up, but I am going to skip because I want to make sure we get to some of the headlines that we teased at the top of the show. So, but first, I want to share, because this is news and community news for that matter. Stampede Social, co-founded by Podcasting Morning Show community member Jeff Dwoskin, who I think is here. I know he was earlier, and I'm not looking at my screen right now. They've announced 3 new podcast-focused features designed to connect Instagram engagement directly to podcast listening and sponsor tracking. The platform now lets podcasters create RSS-powered DM campaigns where a listener can comment or message a keyword such as podcast and automatically receive the latest episodes from that show's RSS feed. Hosts can also assign unique keywords to specific episodes, making it easier to send followers directly to a new release or back catalog episode. Stampede Social is also introducing host-read ad attribution, where listeners can DM a sponsor keyword and receive a tracked link and promo code, giving advertisers click data tied to a specific episode and air date. The company says the tools work with any podcast RSS feed, refresh hourly, and are available now. So go to Stampede Social, and
Jeff has joined us on stage.
Let me pull up that URL right now. I want to make... Oh, good. Jeff, and that's stampede.social. And Jeff, do you want to share any more about this?
Oh, thank you so much. That was very kind of you. Yeah, if you want to test it out, you can go to my Instagram, Jeff Dwoskin Show, and you can see it. We've been trying to focus on ways to help the podcast community, and so we kind of fine-tune some cool stuff. So leveraging the RSS feed that, hey, we all have hanging around, so why not make it work a little harder for us? So
thank you, Jeff. Yeah, so go stampede.social. There's many more tools available there for you to help you really automate your social media campaigns and posts. So go check them out. I am a user of Stampede Social. Jeff always is encouraging me to use it, and I appreciate that because it is a very helpful tool. So go check that out. Again, stampede.social. And congratulations on those upgrades. It sounds awesome, Jeff. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, DR, let's jump to story number 7.
Spotify is rolling out a new standard for podcast plays, and this one's all about cleaning up the numbers. A play will now count only when someone listens to or watches an episode for at least 30 seconds. That's 30 seconds. Spotify says that threshold helps filter out accidental taps and low intent activity, giving creators a clearer picture of real audience engagement. Now, for the indie and DIY podcasters, this could make your analytics a little more honest and maybe a little more humbling. Spotify is also updating Spotify for Creators with new tools that show first-time listeners, returning fans, episode performance comparisons, engagement trends, and historical data going all the way back to your first day on the platform. Yeah.
And I'll jump in here, DR, and just share. Yeah, because I do use Spotify for Creators for this very show. I've started digging into it. It certainly aesthetically looks much better now over at Spotify for Creators as far as those analytics are concerned. And they are a little more detailed and make a little more sense now. So I do appreciate that. I think the 30-second play standard is interesting, particularly because I guess that's really a drop, because it used to be 60 seconds. So if someone hits play and they listen to 60 seconds, that then counts as a quote unquote download or play, right?
Well, the IAB has always said, well, at least recently said that it's 1 minute. YouTube has never said what their belief is.
Right.
The thing that I think about this whole thing is if the industry will take this as a standard and say, okay, a play is 30 seconds. Now, you got to understand a download and a play are two different things, as I understand what they're talking about here. I think they intentionally set this for the advertisers, because if somebody has a 30-second pre-roll ad, this is going to mean they're going to at least hear that. I think what it's going to do, honestly, is it's going to make everybody's numbers go up, which is going to cost people ad revenue, because the advertising companies are going to say, yeah, but those numbers are inflated now. That's my opinion.
Yeah, or if the advertisers aren't as hip to these changes, then they may invest more money, and maybe that's not good for them, right? Like they're going to, if they see those inflated numbers now and they get excited about it and we can charge them more for it, that could hurt in the long run, because it's not really that those listeners aren't engaged, right? That it just means that they listen for 30 seconds. So they may never even hear the advertisements that are playing on that show in the first place. And then you're going to get unhappy advertisers. And yeah, you might get a little bit of money out of them initially, but they won't keep coming back
for
the advertiser, so that they keep investing money into your show.
And Mark, I think that's the reason that they're involved in this AMP group.
I mean, I think in some ways it could be helpful for the independent, the DIY podcaster, because again, the numbers, like Ralph said, we're predicting your download numbers are going to go up, because originally it was 60 seconds on Spotify and Apple for that matter, and now it's 30 seconds on Spotify. BC, and then we're going to go to Sid.
Couple things. So one thing, I'm going off of what Ralph mentioned. I wonder if a solution would be, and I'm kind of surprised this isn't already happening, because back in the day before, when Spotify for Creators was Anchor, at that time you could pre-upload and keep your commercial spots in your profile, then add them in for each new episode as you produced it. At least for today, though, I'm surprised that I wonder if the solution would be, as you upload a fully produced episode with commercial spots in it, that it doesn't identify commercial versus actual show meat, and then say, okay, of the actual show meat, 30 seconds, that's a listen, as opposed to, like Ralph said, for those of us who might have an opening role for
now
commercials to get that out of the way, then hopping into the show.
Yep. Yeah. Show meat. That's a term I didn't think.
I'll have a little
that was
show
not on
meat,
my
make it
bingo
medium
card
rare
here today.
Okay.
Noun, not a verb. Noun, not a verb.
Yeah. And let's check in. Thank you, BC. Let's check in with Sid. Go ahead, Sid.
I haven't seen this new dashboard for Spotify, but I certainly am going to go look at it and check it out. But somebody just said something that spawned for me, which was this past week was the big annual furniture show that I attend every year. And I got to see in person 6 of my 8 sponsors. One of them I missed, and then one of them wasn't there. But I intentionally made sure that I sought them all out. One of them we just couldn't connect with. And I got a picture with each of them. And because I'm going to do a post about thanking them, right? But I asked them, how they thought the show was going, and, just wanted, first thing I did was thank them for, sponsoring the shows. First time I've got to see them in person since the sponsorships. And so I want to take a moment to thank them. And whether I realized it or not, years ago, I started building relationships with these people. And that's why I have 8 sponsors, because I have a relationship with them. But what I learned in talking to them at NeoCon was they didn't ask me about downloads. They didn't ask me about completion rates. They didn't ask me, typical what you might think CPM advertisers want to know. They talked to me about the impact my show and their sponsorship has had on their business and thanked me. Like my one naysayer who was not in favor of sponsoring the podcast, she stopped me. I'd never met her. She stopped me. She's a marketing director. And she stopped me in a showroom and introduced herself to me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so great to see you. And she said, Sid, I want you to know that the show's going really well for us. We have gotten multiple leads from sponsoring your show. Had another guy tell me that when I was talking to him and thanking him, he goes, Sid, it's been an unbelievable experience. And, we didn't really know what to expect when we went into it, but it's been an unbelievable experience for us. And we are going to do it again next year. So sign us up for next year. And I haven't even started thinking about next year sponsorships, right? And so I say all this to say is that when you provide value, it's something Ralph said a few minutes ago, when you know your audience, you know their problems, and you know how your content solves their problems, and you attract sponsors that can provide solutions to those problems, then they take action. And my sponsors couldn't be happier. And so what I gave them was access to my community as a media asset, right? But I think the key for me is I'm intentionally continuing to build relationships with these people that go beyond being a sponsor of my podcast. And I believe that's one of the things that will bring all of them back next year.
Thank you for sharing that, Sid. And yeah, as Tide said in the chat, you've really created something unique here. And maybe maybe unique isn't the best word, but I'll say special, because I think that what you've done can be replicated successfully with any podcaster. And I think one important point to mention here is, after hearing what Sid has shared, and he's shared this on this show before, is Sid doesn't have a show with thousands of listeners. He has a few hundred listeners to each episode. And yet he's got these very happy sponsors of his show, and that are telling him that he's made a difference and that it's made a difference on their business. Go ahead.
No, thank you for that, Mark. And I'll just put a plug in here to say that if you're really interested in learning about monetization, be sure that you attend EPC 3, where I will be on Friday doing a workshop to show you exactly how to create a sponsorship package for you and your podcast based on what I created.
I love it. Go to empoweredpodcasting.com so you don't miss Sid's workshop, which I will absolutely be attending. Well, I guess we all will if we're at Empowered Podcasting, because those workshops is an all attendee workshop kind of thing. So yes, go to empoweredpodcasting.com. Thank you, Sid, for that. And look, gang, we are running out of time. So join us tomorrow, because I believe some of these stories that we have left over for today, we will have a lot to discuss tomorrow. So as of right now, that's my plan, is to bring you a couple of these other stories that are important to us as podcasters. So come join us then. And remember, you can join us in all sorts of different ways at podcastingmorningshow.com/join us. So until tomorrow, make it a great day, everybody. Take care.